Oh no. Oh no. Whoa. Jeez Louise. Hello, my name is Katrina and welcome to Moonbellymakes, where I share my love of making things via cooking, crafting, and baking. Today is a cooking day and I want to share with you this recipe for a feta and walnut barley salad that has a bunch of other things in it. We've got roasted vegetables, we've got a garlicky shallot dressing, and some other fun add-ins. I came up with this recipe when I was realizing that we were eating a lot of wheat and a lot of rice, and it was time to switch up our grain consumption, add a little bit more diversity to our week. And this just kind of emerged from what I had in the fridge at that time. And it was so good in that first iteration that I have continued to make it pretty much that way. And I felt that it was worthy of a spot in the Moonbellymakes world. There's so many ways that you could change the ingredients in this recipe and keep the essence of it the same. And I'll share those variations like as we go through today. Okay, enough chatter. Here's how I do it.
This barley salad starts with barley, pearled barley to be exact, which is kind of like the white rice version of barley, meaning that it has been relieved of its outer hull and is therefore quicker cooking, easier to digest, and a little bit less nutritious. You can use the kind with the hull, which is called hulled, if that's your thing. For the veggies, I've got a zucchini, a red onion, a few carrots, and a parsnip, all diced, some olive oil, and dried oregano, ground coriander, smoked sweet paprika, and kosher salt. For the dressing, I've got a shallot and a boatload of garlic, both minced, more olive oil, apple cider vinegar, and lemon juice. And for seasonings, there's black pepper, more ground coriander, and kosher salt. For the other add-ins, I've got some chopped walnuts, chopped black Greek olives, but any olives or even capers would be really tasty here, and a few sliced scallions. Finally, I've got a block of feta cheese. I recommend looking for a feta that comes as a whole block in brine for the creamiest, tastiest option. I start by heating the oven to 350 175°C and placing the walnuts on a small ungreased sheet tray. Into the oven they go to toast until fragrant, about 7 to 9 minutes. I strongly recommend setting a timer because nuts burn very easily. While the walnuts toast, I prep the veggies by lining a sheet tray with my designated savory food silicone mat, and then toss the veggies with the olive oil and the spices until well combined. I used my hands for this part because I thought it would look cool, but my skin got sort of irritated by the paprika, so I suggest using a spoon. This is a great place to use whatever vegetables you have on hand. I would definitely recommend using some sort of onion. Other veggies that I've used in the past for this that have been really good are cremini mushrooms, sweet potatoes, and turnips. Once the walnuts are all toasty and smell amazing, I take them out of the oven and then raise the temp to 450 230°C. Even if the temp is still rising, the veggies can go in, and then they roast for about 20 minutes. The veggies got a toss after about 10 minutes, and once they were tender and starting to brown around the edges, I removed them from the oven and finally turned it off. To make the barley, I added it to 3 cups of water with a generous sprinkle of salt. I brought the whole thing to a boil and then reduced to a simmer. Once it was simmering, I covered it and cooked until tender but not mushy, which takes about 15 to 25 minutes. I started tasting for doneness around 10 minutes. If there's extra water like this but the barley has a pleasant texture, drain through a fine colander or sieve and set aside. For the dressing, I dropped the remaining olive oil plus the shallot and garlic into a small pan over fairly low heat. I'm looking for a soft and sweet garlic, so I cooked it low and slow so that it doesn't get brown on the edges and it's just lightly bubbling like this. It needs a stir every once in a while and takes around 15 minutes total. I like to give a piece of the garlic a taste once I think it's about done, just to make sure that it's lost all of its raw zippiness. And if that's the case, then in goes the ground coriander and black pepper to bloom in the hot oil. I count to 30 really slowly in my head while stirring the spices in and then turn off the heat. Then I add the salt, apple cider vinegar, and lemon juice, and the dressing is complete. Once everything is cooked and ready, I grab my favorite large bowl and combine everything except the feta. The barley, the veggies, the walnuts, the olives, the scallions, and the dressing. A great substitute for scallions if you don't have those is just any sort of fresh herb that you have on hand. Parsley, cilantro, both would work really great, even fresh mint if you have it.
Seasoning check. I'm gonna do just a touch more salt. I don't wanna do too much salt though because the feta is salty and that'll just kind of make the whole thing more salty, but it just needs a little more. So you could eat this right away if you wanted to. I usually like to let it sit in the fridge for just a couple hours. This is a great make ahead dinner if you're gonna be going out like in the early evening and wanna come home to something that's already made. I'm gonna put this in the fridge for just a little bit so that all the flavors can kind of meld together, and then we can try it.
I like to crumble the feta over a couple scoops of the salad, and then I finish it with a crack of pepper and a little extra squeeze of lemon juice.
All right, my loves, it's taste time. Oh, I'm trying to make the perfect bite. All right, I think I got it. Cheers. That genuinely was the perfect bite. It had everything in it, and it was so good. I haven't made this in a long time. This is really good. It is absolutely a symphony of textures, which is something that I really need in a grain salad like this, so that not everything is soft. Barley still has a little bite to it. The vegetables have a little crisp to them, but because they've kind of sat in the dressing, they're on the softer side, but you still have the crunch from the raw scallions and the crunch from the toasted walnuts, and then the creaminess of the feta. It works really well. Plan was to eat this for dinner later, but maybe I'm just gonna eat it right now because it's really good. And I'm hungry. If you haven't tried barley before, I really recommend it as a way to diversify the grain that your body is getting. For the full written recipe, you can find it on my blog. Also on my blog and here on YouTube, I share all of my other projects. So to stay up to date with what's happening in Moonbelly world, you know what to do. I hope you make this recipe. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Lots of hopes. Take good care of yourself. I love you. Bye.